Oh, hello, hello. This is Adriane Berg, and this is the Ageless Traveler. And we are inaugurating yet another series for you, and perhaps one of the most important we've ever done. And that is travel with the LGBTQ plus community. Something very important, something very much in the news, and something it is my pleasure to bring to all of you Ageless Travelers. And I'm particularly proud that the folks who I'm going to be interviewing today are my neighbors. Yes, Tommy Beatty and Dennis Costa. They run the famed PS Air. And if you're from Palm Springs, you know all about that, but we'll introduce you to it. They are inveterate travelers with Brand G Adventures, many others. You know what? They were also flight attendants. So I have so much to talk to you guys about. Tommy, I'm actually going to start with you, and I'm going to start with your longtime career, 34 years as a flight attendant, and your current foray into hospitality.
Yes, that'll be fine. Good morning.
Good morning. So let me ask you this. We are talking about LGBT travel, and we're talking about travel in general. So as a flight attendant, those were the days. Did you see anything positive, negative? What's your take on the role of the flight attendant if somebody who's a little bit older comes into the plane? There any staff training with regard to the older?
I think it's a matter of just being perceptive and how you're raised. I always instinctively helped people that I think needed help. There is training because you were always taught to how may I best assist you. And so that's how I lived by anyone that needed help.
Running the speakeasy, PS Air is one of the most famous and I think frequented. You can't get a seat, to be honest with you. Speakeasy. It looks like an airplane, by the way, folks. When you go into PS Air, you go into the back. You don't even know it's there. You sit down and you're in an airplane, except it has a lot of drinks. You don't have to be in first class to get drinks. And of course, we're in Palm Springs. It is not the youngest community on earth. Let's face it. So how do you deal with that as a host now and yourself in the hospitality industry, flying the ship, so to speak?
It's a little bit different. When you're on the aircraft, it's a different experience. But as a small business owner, I try to bring what I learned from my experiences in travel to that experience. But it's a bit of adjustment, but you're on 24/7. But that's okay because that's what we know how to do.
On our show notes, we'll have exactly where they can locate you because it is a speakeasy, folks. You got to know how to get there. So now, Tommy, I know that you're a big fan, and so is Dennis, of Brand G. This is a particular kind of travel agency that really does cater to the LGBTQ plus community. And I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
What is the difference to you personally to go on a trip that specifically is limited to that community? Now, I have read maybe 50 descriptions of companies that cater to your community. I call it our community because if you live in Palm Springs, it's everybody's community.
Yes.
And some specifically say, as Brand G does, this is going to be an LGBTQ experience. And others say, not necessarily. Can be mixed, could be straight, could be gay. So what's your take on those two types of travel? Does it make a difference to you?
It does, to a sense where you can just go and be yourself. We are a married couple. We have been for 13 years married and around going on, and then 14 years prior. So it's just a nice way just to be comfortable. We're not much with public displays of affection. It's just that camaraderie about being around your own kind. It's a shared experience. We understand each other. You don't always get to do that if it's a mixed audience, but I don't mind having straight allies and others. It's just people who are on the same page with each other.
And Dennis, is that your take also, or there's certain things you wouldn't do, ways that you wouldn't act? And I don't only mean physical.
I don't think there's anything I wouldn't do. You're always going to try something once at least. We've been on multiple, GLBT trips, but we find that our best experiences has been with Brand G because literally all you have to do is show up, and we just love being in the community of like-minded people.
Yeah, so let's look at it, Dennis, for a moment from a pure travel experience. It's a good company. It does a lot of things, and it does some things differently. And as I always tell my listeners, it's not an advertisement. I've not been on a Brand G trip, but it does come up over and over again when I ask for the best of the best. What are some of the things you love about the brand?
About the brand, it's just curated start to finish. I mean, they pick you up at the airport. Everything is done so well. It's just, they're so welcoming. They know you by name. You get to know these people, and the product is it's luxury, start to finish. Like I said, it's an amazing experience because of the work that they put in to their trips and their guests.
It's the attention to detail
Right.
is what I really like. And you go on vacation to have a great time, and it is a great time. But when we get back from a branchy vacation, I think I need a vacation from the vacation, because I keep going.
A lot of work. Your vacation's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it sounds funny, but it's true.
What is really great is it's a mature audience. So if we're speaking about Ageless Traveler, it's a mature audience. So you're going to be around people probably 50 and above.
Right.
So people who are established in life, people who are sharing, like I said, the same experiences, people who want some of the finer things in life and can afford them, and they just want a comfortable environment, and that they offer that better than any other LGBT company that we've been on.
That you've been on. Now, let's go to Dennis. Your favorite trip? Let's just talk about a couple of places you'd like to go. Generally, I say, almost in a derisive way, this is not about where to eat in Paris. But sometimes it's good to learn about where to eat in Paris. So what's been your favorite places if you could go again?
Well, I just enjoy traveling so much, and we're about to do a Machu Picchu trip that we've had planned. We've had to cancel 4 times, and so we're actually doing it in March. And that was one that I really wanted to go on. So I'm really happy that we're finally doing it. My best two that I've been on has been the South Africa safari trip and the Egypt trip that we did.
We've been also doing a series on Africa, and we've actually had 3 different tour operators on. One that specializes in Namibia, one that specializes in Kenya and Tanzania, and a person who is like yourselves, a traveler. And that was South Africa. So tell us a little bit about where you went. And I just got off this minute, and I'm telling this to all you guys. I'm one of the representatives from the International Federation on Aging to the United Nations. And we're going to have our conference in South Africa. Yay. So, of course, we're putting tours together. So start with the safari. And tell us what you enjoyed the most and how you would approach selecting a safari if you were a traveler.
The safari was amazing. It was probably the most life-changing experience I ever had, to be taking those safari rides in the early morning and at sunset, and to be that close with the animals was amazing. We got to see all Big 5 and then some. I mean, literally, you're sitting in the Jeep and they tell you, do not put your hands out, keep your hands in. I love elephants. It's my favorite animal. And then to have an elephant towering above you right next to the Jeep. And as much as I love them, I was a little fearful, but I didn't feel fear for my life. It was just the respect of these animals, to see them in their natural habitat, was probably something I'll remember the rest of my life.
And what was the park? Were you in a national park?
We're in Sabi Sabi, which is next to Kruger. So they have torn down the borders between the two, and the animals are allowed to roam freely anywhere they want. Beautiful.
And Dennis, did you say Egypt was one of your favorite trips?
Yeah, Egypt, because I'm mesmerized with Egyptology and ancient civilizations, and every site that we went to, it got better and better and better. It was, you see the grandeur of Giza and the pyramids, and then you go to Valley of the Kings and Lake Nasser to see the monument that they pulled up off the lake bed so that to keep it from the water's receding into the temple. It's just crazy, and it's amazingly huge.
And I have to say that, and this is, again, not an ad. This is a company that I use constantly for, I'll call it mixed travel. Doesn't matter if you're straight or you're gay. And that is called Theatrical Adventures at Sea. And I took my favorite vacation, honestly, was Egypt. And that was down the Nile with Theatrical Adventures at Sea. And Giza was fantastic, but Luxor was stunning.
Exactly.
So, yeah. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you guys because you say you won't go to Antarctica because you don't like the cold. But we shall discuss that. You will not get away with taking a whole continent and throwing it out the window. But we'll be back in a moment talking a little bit more seriously about what is going on in the world of LGBTQ travel, because those letters are getting longer and longer. Soon they'll put an S at the end and it'll be LGBTQ straight, and that'll be everybody. So,
Yes.
So we have to begin to see if that's changing the way you guys are traveling. Don't you go anywhere. What are you doing between March 29th and April 12th, 2025? Are you going on safari? Well, we are. Please come with us on our very first Ageless Traveler trip. I will make sure that you see everything that's on your bucket list. We're going with the very famous Colette Tours, one of the oldest tour operators in the United States. They know us, they respect us, and they provide for us everything that we need. Yes, we are going to Kenya. We will see the city of Nairobi. We're going to the Serengeti. We will see the Big Five. We will also have adventures of a lifetime. If you have been studying safari, or even if you have gone on many safaris, this is something really different. So how do you find out about it and get your special discounts because you're an ageless traveler? Very simple. Go to agelesstraveler.com. That's our website, agelesstraveler.com. Take a look at featured trips. Get the details by clicking right there. You can do everything from inquire, get your question answered, to book right away so that you're going with us. It is a terrific, terrific tour. And by the way, you can also go to the Masai Mara on an optional pre-trip tour. There's a lot more to it than that, because there's yet more opportunity if you have longed to trek with the gorillas in Uganda. Yep, we can make that happen too. So please take a look at agelesstraveler.com, featured travel, and go on safari with us. And we are back, and we're having a lively and personal conversation with two persons who have loved going on their LGBTQ plus. I think there's an A in it now somewhere, and that is Tommy Beatty and Dennis Costa. They really have enjoyed Brand G, who I thank for bringing these guys to our show. And it was a surprise because, honestly, I did not know that we were neighbors. They run a wonderful speakeasy that I love to go to, PS Air, right here in Palm Springs. So thanks for being with us. And we have a few, light questions and a couple of sticky questions. Let me start with the sticky question. Look, we are in a place here in Palm Springs that's really inclusive, ecstatic. This is a place that people go, whether they're gay or straight, that love diversity and enjoy it and are very, very comfortable with it. Have you had experiences in your travels? You've been around, or even in your capacities as flight attendants with people who are not so comfortable? And I'll start with Tommy. Has that been an issue? Have you seen it? I certainly saw it as a straight person with gay friends in New York City around the time of AIDS, but maybe times have changed. Have they?
Yes, they have. It's interesting you say that. I could have a number of questions as a flight attendant, the way they approached me during the AIDS crisis. They wanted the female flight attendant to serve them, sure, assuming that I had AIDS. But I have seen a definite change in the culture, even around the world, and the acceptance of gay people. But recently, last year, we went to Morocco, and I didn't feel welcomed there. It wasn't a comfortable feeling. I really wanted to get back on the ship. I know a lot of people have traveled there, but it didn't feel comfortable to me. So I could pass on that.
I have to say to both of you and to everyone listening, we're going to be doing an ebook, that about LGBTQ plus travel. And people say, well, what can you say? What's the difference? Well, the difference is safety.
Yes.
The true difference is safety. So Dennis, do you have a take on this issue?
Yeah, I'm gonna use the Egypt trip that we went on, and we didn't realize that there was a whole contingency of security with our group. Our group was probably like 120 people. We had to leave the hotel to get to the airport very early in the morning, and I just happened to notice that there was all these security people around. And I questioned the tour guide. I said, well, what's with all the security people? And he said, well, they've been with us the whole time.
Yeah, but they were not so invasive that you felt uncomfortable, but they needed to be there for you.
Right.
I believe so. Correct. We were supposed to do a cruise that was to go to St. Petersburg, and shortly after the Ukrainian war happened, and naturally St. Petersburg was taken off that excursion. And then for their treatment of LGBTQ people, I rushes off my list.
Yeah, see, now this is another interesting issue. First of all, I am Jewish, and I happen to love the Middle East. And I've traveled as a woman alone in the Middle East, and people can't believe the amount of hospitality I have had in in every country that I have visited. However, there were 2 occasions where I had to see something because I am a journalist, and I had to go with an armed guard. So you can speak to almost anyone, even someone who's not in a so-called minority position, whatever that means these days. And they worry. They worry about going to places because of conflict, because of prejudices of all types. And it really is hurting tourism. And what hurts tourism, honestly, hurts the economy. So let's take a look then at today. We are exploding in our gender identification. Are you seeing a difference? And I'll start with Tommy. Are you seeing a difference in who is coming on your trips and self-identifying? And is it making a difference because perhaps they're younger people than you're used to coming onto these trips?
Well, like I said before, most of the gentlemen on these trips are mature. However, it's interesting you bring that up. We had dinner with a couple, and they were entertainers, and they were younger, and one identified as they are non-binary. It was a wonderful experience to ask them questions in a non-threatening way for both of us to learn, because we are 63. We're, getting towards the retirement age, and we don't understand it all. We're, growing up gay, and it took us to this new generation of LGBTQ and
LMNOP.
Yeah, and right. we joke about it, and no one gave us a survey or asked us if we could add extra letters and consonants. And we always say, "Can I buy a vowel?" Because we're learning about it ourselves, believe it or not, and we're supposed to identify with, the lesbian, trans. I get it. It's a community that we help each other, but we're still learning, like the straight community is about us.
I do understand that, and Dennis, this affects travel too, in a very good way, because more people will travel, more people will feel comfortable, and more people will have issues and advocacy. But when I take a look let's take Brand G for a minute, okay? I look at the pictures. Frankly, it's pretty homogenized. You have men, and they're of a certain age, and many of them are couples, and a long time couples, and that's who you have. So now when we have different gender identifications, not so sure it's going to be the same comfort zone, right, on every single trip when it comes to this. So this is going to be an interesting progression to watch and to see. I want to get to Machu Picchu, Dennis, because that's where you're going next, right?
Yeah, that's where we're going next.
Well, having been there, I can tell you that there's an altitude issue and there is a climbing issue, and you're going to do all of it. So tell us a little bit about the itinerary that you're planning.
Well, we're actually doing the Amazon first.
Wonderful.
and doing a cruise on the Amazon. I'm sure it's not going to be like the cruise that we did on the Nile, but I'm looking forward to it.
Right. And that's an area that it's usually on the bucket list of most retirees. And one of the things that often it's very hot. Having done this, you do go to Cusco first. You want to get altitude acclimated there. That happens first. Then you usually go to Machu Picchu. And that's a climb. And it also depends on whether you get there on a luxury train. Probably Brand G gives you the luxury train.
Yes,
there's another kind. Yeah, there's another kind of train, which I took. It's like a Woody Allen movie. You're watching everybody on the luxury train, and you're sitting in the other train there as they pass by, and they give you a look at their champagne. It's an exhilarating and exerting trip. I'd like you to be some of our eyes on the ground there when you go on the trip to see whether or not some of the folks were able to do it and whether they were encouraged to do it. Okay?
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that we were trying to do this like 6 years ago, realizing that, you get to a certain age and you become a little more challenged in what you can do as far as hiking, walking. Certain challenges come along that you weren't expecting. So you try and do the best you can with it. I think walking, most places outside of the United States are cobblestones, and the steps aren't always the same height. So you really have to be cognizant of what you're stepping onto, and during your daily travels all across the world.
Yes. Now I'm going to ask you a question I ask of every couple that I have on my show. We all age differently. Nobody ages the same. There was a wonderful gerontologist that said, every baby is the same, but every senior is different. And culturally, that's too bad because they see us all as the same, but really different. Are you seeing each other aging differently with regard to travel? One more active, one less active. One can eat all the salt and sugar they want, one can't. Are you seeing any difference in your companionship when you go and travel?
Well, just recently in this last trip, I was more challenged because I had an issue with my back that I had to come back and have an epidural shot. And I was very challenged with the walking and being in pain. But, I don't let that stop me because the brain is more powerful in trying to heal, but we are human. My desire to see the world and to experience it can override some of the pain, but I was definitely challenged, and I don't want to be a burden to him. I came home, got the shot, and I'm doing good again now. So ready for the next adventure.
Yeah. And of course, we're here. Our motto at the Ageless Traveler is never stop traveling. Lifelong travel made easy. There are barriers. We all have them, just like we just did our series on caregivers. We also discovered that 63% of women who travel solo are married. This was shocking to me. And when we did our consumer survey, we found out that the men were in pain. They couldn't make it. And so instead of burdening their wives, they stayed home. And the women solo travel after the age of 60 is exploding. So this is happening to all of us everywhere. There really isn't much of a difference with regard to anything but the years, on the calendar. Nevertheless, you got to have Tommy's attitude and Dennis's attitude, which is don't stop, because when you do stop, then the pain really sets in. So, but now a frivolous question. Dennis, you really had in your bio that you've been to every continent, but you're not going to Antarctica. What's the scoop on that? What can we do to get you the Falklands? At least the Falklands, you could go that far. What's going on there?
As far as Antarctica, I really don't do cold well.
You're a California boy.
I'm a California guy.
Okay.
And I've always liked the sunshine, and I like to be warm. I like to be in beach vacations are my go-to. So I want warm destinations. This Machu Picchu thing is the first time I'll be in South America. We've been through Central America and all over the world, but that would leave, I guess, Antarctica would be the final continent to get to. And I just laugh because people say, well, it's not that cold. I go, well, what's not that cold? Well, it's like, 60, it could be 75. And anymore now, from living here in Palm Springs, I think my blood's gotten so thin that I go anywhere and I'm cold.
Got it. Well, yes, we really do have. Look, we live in the desert. What can I say? When we come back, I want to get a little bit deeper into some of the wonderful places that both Tommy and Dennis have traveled and ask them exactly what is left on their bucket list. And I'm doing that really because I'm asking you the exact same question. And I'm going to show you in this next little segment exactly how you can let me know. Don't you go anywhere. One of the things that we are committed to at the Ageless Traveler is that you know each other, you greet each other, and you share with each other. And there's one way to do it. Join our Facebook salon. We call it a salon because we have the most incredible conversations together. How do you do it? Very simple. You go to agelesstraveler.com. That's it, agelesstraveler.com. And right on the first page, it will say join our salon. Click it. Give us some information about yourself, and you are approved. How wonderful to be able to meet with like-minded people, ask questions, and get them answered. And perhaps you've got information for others, but there's a lot more of sharing than that. If you go to agelesstraveler.com and go to our podcast page, you will see a little red icon that says, leave us a message. Yes, you can ask your questions, even text it in real time, voice time. It's a voicemail, and guess who gets it? Me. I get it directly, and I will make sure your question is answered on the air, as well as by experts if I don't know the answers, which I usually do. So you'll find all of this and a lot more at agelesstraveler.com. And we are back, and we're here with travelers. I rarely actually do a show with travelers. I did a wonderful one with Marla Noel, who discussed the differences between 5-star and 3-star safaris. Please take a look at Marla Noel's podcast, which is right on our website, theagelesstraveler.com, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'm doing something similar here with Tommy Beatty and Tennis Costa. They happen to be themselves in the hospitality industry because they run a fabulous, wonderful underground speakeasy called PS Air here in Palm Springs. But I didn't even know that when I invited them as guests. They were here because we are doing an LGBTQ plus series, and companies like Brand G is fairly out there in terms of excellence in this particular field. And we'll have others that we'll tell you about. And no, they are not advertisers of ours yet, but I will say that the reputation is really quite good. So I wanted to talk to the folks themselves. So as I said, we'll start with Dennis here. You travel a lot. You've been to a lot of places, but not everywhere. So what's next? Other than Machu Picchu, we know that's already on the books. But what's on your bucket list right now?
Well, for future, we've got 2 trips planned. Obviously, Machu Picchu, which we've been talking about, and we're doing a Vietnamese Cambodia tour at the end of the year in October. And the next one, I think, for me is Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina. For me, there's some land packages that some of these vacation people are putting together, and that's something that I would certainly consider.
And Tommy, where would you like to go next?
Oh, gosh, everywhere. It's, believe it or not, I've been so many places because I used to fly international. I still want to go on the Orient Express. I still want to travel more in Australia. Gosh, Argentina. Let's see. I'll go to Antarctica.
Well, we may very well do it. Because I haven't been there. I've been to 121 countries, but I have not been to Antarctica. I've been to the Arctic,
Well,
way north.
We'll go together. Let's go.
Yeah, I have to ask Tommy a question, though, that occurred to me when you just reminded me that you were 34 years flying everywhere. When we talk about travel burnout, believe it or not, that is one of the reasons that my listeners give as to why they don't travel. They see it as one of the barriers, like money, like not having a companion, like their own health. Those are the three big ones.
Right.
But there is a fourth one, and that is travel burnout. I cannot imagine it. I can't imagine it. And you've been traveling for 34 years, and yet you're not tired of it. Where do you think that spark comes from? Because it is not in everyone.
Well, the age of 12 years old, when I went on my first airplane, that was it. I knew I wanted to do this for a living. And if I can't travel, I really don't see much in living, because travel is living to me. It's afforded me the opportunity of a lifetime. It makes my heart fill with joy to meet people, culture, food. It's an education that you can't get in your backyard. I can understand the travel burnout, the part getting to and from, but you have to just give yourself time and be patient with yourself and understand your new self if you have limitations, but don't ever stop. I just can't. I can't be. I can get so emotional about it because like I said, it's my life's blood.
So, and as you talk about it, it's really so moving. You could feel it. How about you, Dennis? Are you as gung-ho on it, or are you the fellow who he takes with you?
No, I'm all about the yearning for learning and experience. The experience of travel teaches you so much about yourself and about life and cultures and the experience and sharing that with like-minded people is really the best part. We actually have two really dear friends that we've been, I think, on 6 trips together, and they come to Palm Springs and we have a great time, and one of them is having a limitation with his visual. But we're still going to go. They're going to be with us on this Machu Picchu trip.
Yeah, we have a big thing that we are screaming. We call it, "Why can't I see the shampoo?" At a certain age, yeah, right? See, they know right away. They know exactly what I'm talking about, because we all go right. We go in the shower. We're in a hotel. We don't have our glasses, and we're looking. What's the conditioner? What's the shampoo? Now you have to get out of the shower, say this, that.
I can't stop laughing.
You have to look at the bottles before you get in the shower.
Yes,
you have to do that.
I know there's nobody I have mentioned this to that does not break out laughing and say yes.
We're laughing because we've all experienced that. That's the thing, I think.
Well, I can tell you that I can read your menu, and that's a treat. That I could go into any place, particularly a speakeasy, and actually be able to read the menu. So you're doing something right there. But this is absolutely true. So now, of course, in addition to this, though, you've got each other, right? I mostly travel with my husband. We've got each other. There's a lot of people that don't travel because of lack of companionship. And what's coming up now is a lot of what they call travel tech, where you can go on a computer, and you can find a platform that puts you together and gives you a travel buddy. And it's working. There's no doubt about it. I hope my Facebook salon is also helping people know and meet each other. But I'm just wondering, Dennis, if this is a little different in the LGBT community, or maybe you can only speak to the G part of LGBT. Is that a little bit more dangerous, or is it happening? Would you recommend some questions before people just hop in and say, yep, great, I now don't have to pay a single supplement?
Yeah, we travel together, obviously. Some of the experiences that we've had on traveling on an LGBTQ is that there are, singles that happen to go. Our last trip that we did, there was the couple we traveled with, they had a friend and he was single. And they put him with another gentleman, obviously, and the room wasn't large enough to split the bed, so they were literally almost sleeping in the same bed. They were complete strangers, and I guess by the end of the trip, they became very, very good friends. So I don't know how very, very close they got. I didn't ask; it wasn't my business. But I think those things are happening now. Yeah.
And now, Tommy, let us wrap up with the same idea. One of the largest problems that we have here as we age is we lose our companions. And it's not always a dire thing. We move. I mean, you've moved, right, to Palm Springs. You move, you lose your companions, you lose your friends, you go see them every once in a while. And you really do have to travel by yourself. Are you seeing some efforts in the LGBT community to get people together in a safe way and to acknowledge that there are a lot of singles, particularly older singles, and companionship being so important?
Yes, I like said, Brand G, we tend to travel with mostly, but yeah, they have programs that link people together. And not to be a downer, but actually on our one experience in Andalusia in Seville, one of the gentlemen lost his partner of 40 years. He passed away on the trip. But the kindness and the caring that they took to help was amazing. So, but no, they really do try to promote others and putting them together and helping singles travel.
And they do dinners. They'll do singles dinners and singles mixers, cocktail mixers, on the trip, and or not necessarily always surrounding around alcohol. They'll also do just having a luncheon or like I said, a dinner to get the singles together.
Yes, and for those of you, I obviously have not traveled with Brand G, but I will say they do tell you that they have unlimited alcohol. They're very happy.
Yeah.
Make sure. Yes, they do. They make sure that they do not have to take a penny out of your pocket extra for that.
That's one of the perks for us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I'm going for the Prosecco. I'm there for. Look, they'll have to go into bankruptcy if they bring me over there, and they're going to tell me I can have all the Prosecco I want.
We get our money's worth.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys do a very, very good job. So I'm going to finish up here thanking you both for giving us some heartfelt feelings about travel, some insights into the world of LGBT travel. But I'm not going to end here. I'm going to ask you both a question, and that is this. For today, in today's world, this is not going to be an easy one. Start with Tommy. If you could wave a magic wand and make one difference in the way the world sees people in your community, and that might include, as you said, the safety issues as you travel, what would it be if you could make one change?
That we're all the same. We really are. It doesn't matter gay or straight. We have our same daily things that we have to deal with in getting along with each other. And that was one of the reasons why we chose at like 40 years old to come and live in Palm Springs, because we realized in this community here that everybody seemed to coexist. And that's the one thing I would do, is try to create a world where we could coexist and just respect and love each other. We're all different. That's what makes the world so amazing, that we are different, but to respect and let each other live each other's lives. I think
Beautiful.
That's one thing I would love.
So, Dennis, not an easy act to follow, but what do you have to say to that?
No, I believe everything that Tommy has said. I live my life in that capacity. I would like to see the world be more colorblind and to be more accepting of our uniqueness. Everybody is unique. Everybody has something to offer, and people are always. I think it's easier for people to see the weaknesses than it is to see the attributes in an individual.
Absolutely. But I'm going to end with a favorite story of mine that I have a little tearfulness when I say it, not kidding. So I did live through, as a straight person, what they call the AIDS crisis. That's what it was called in New York City. But I was a lawyer at that time with a lot of LGBTQ clients. And the reason that I had so many was that as people passed away, their life partners, because in those days you couldn't get married mostly, would be thrown out. They would be thrown out. And I was a trust and estates lawyer. And we started an idea of having people adopt each other. That was called adult adoption, because people were passing away and relatives that nobody ever heard of were coming in and scooping up the healthcare directives when they were still alive, and then all of the wealth when they were gone. And it was tragic.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a phone call, I guess about 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I have a 30-year-old daughter, and at that time, her friends were about 24 years old. And we were all close. They were great kids. And one of the gay guys called me, and he said he's got a terrible problem. What's your problem? Well, my friends who are gay getting married, and I don't know if I should wear a black or a blue tuxedo. And I started to cry. And he had no idea why I thought this was not a problem. So that is the nicest story that I could end this with. But it actually really did move me, because I was already waiting to hear something that was a problem. And he did. He had a terrible fashion problem. We had
a nice problem to have.
Yes, we had to deal with it. So thank you both. I'm sure that you can relate to all of this. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for everybody else, you know that we will have on our show notes all the information. You'll even know how to get to PS Air when you come to visit here in Palm Springs. You'll know about Brand G. You'll know about some of the other information that I have given you and all of our resources. We have a very special thing I want to announce. We are now a collaborative of 8 and growing podcasts that deal one way or the other in aging. One of my favorites is Women Over 70. I'm sick and tired of having to say 50 plus. I'm 70 plus. So this is Women Over 70, a terrific hosts, Gail and Catherine. You'll love it. And you'll also see their podcast website on our show notes. And for everybody else, please join our Facebook salon, travel with us, and never stop traveling.